Hello, everybody. My name is James Dunn. I am the organizer of the Turning the Outbreak into Opportunity Facebook group. And, when this whole thing came down, I just like to share this. When this whole thing went down, I just almost immediately, thankfully, saw it as an amazing opportunity for so many of us to really reevaluate where we're at in our lives, the direction we're going, see if it's something we need to pivot on, see if it's something we need to shift on. But also realize that this was going to be a downtime a lot of people aren't used to having. And I wanted to help provide some focus and direction, while they had this time away from their work. So they weren't sitting on the couch eating Cheetos and binging Netflix all day long, which again, there's nothing wrong with that if you do it in little spurts. But I don't want that to turn into your whole day. I want to give you at least a little nugget of something that you can wrap your head around and keep your mind focused on what opportunities lie ahead of us right here, right now, if we take advantage of those. And so that's what we're doing right now with the speaker series, bringing somebody in every single day. Again, just to share a positive message, maybe open up your mind to some new ideas. And so if you're watching right now, we do want to get this message out to as many people as possible. And so feel free to share this, as a watch party. Share it with your friends, invite them into the group. This is definitely open to the public. It's not something that I'm trying to keep a lid on, a container on. We want to get this out, again, to as many people as possible. So with that being said, I also want to mention we are doing this call live on Zoom. You're welcome to join there if you want to be more interactive with the call. But I'm also going to be monitoring comments and questions on Facebook. So if you have any questions for our guest speaker today, absolutely feel free to post those in there, and I will present them as the opportunities arise, as part of the conversation, because this is not just, something where we're going to get on here and talk to you and then, okay, bye. We want to make this as interactive as possible. I can't talk worth crap today, but we're going to make this as interactive as possible for you. So feel free to ask any questions that you have. And with that being said, I'm going to introduce our guest speaker today. We have Hillary Foster, and Hillary is a licensed marriage and family therapist. She's been doing it for over 2 decades now, and she helps individuals struggling with anxiety, depression, life's issues, and couples with relationship issues. But what she's really most passionate about is empowering people to live life with intention, joy, and purpose. And so without further ado, welcome, Hillary.
Thank you. Thank you, James. Thanks for having me. And thank you for putting this together. I think it's so beautiful that there's so many people rising to the occasion and sharing a positive message in this time of, such uncertainty and collective anxiety that we're all going through. And it's just nice to have these anchors that people can drop in and really feel more connected to a positive source, because let's face it, everything out there is scary, is fear-based, is, kind of tapping into our, innermost fears of survival, like, am I going to be okay, our safety. And so I really appreciate that you are doing this, and it's a beautiful thing. So thank you for having me as well.
I'm just excited to have you on here.
Yeah, it's always nice that we can just have conversations. And James and I met in a business mastermind, and we were just saying that it's kind of given us the opportunity to connect with more people, because we had met so many wonderful people. And I know you've had a lot of them on in this group, and there's been exercises and different, just different speakers, and they've all been so amazing. So I encourage you all to go through the group and consume that positivity as much as possible, because right now we're in our adrenals are really stressed, and our fight or flight systems are constantly on, and we really need to absorb as much positivity and much the energetics of frequencies of love and light and joy and happiness as much as possible to really override that. Because when we get taxed emotionally, our emotional health really impacts our physical health as well, right? So one of the big things, right, with COVID-19 is health issues, right? Everybody's scared that what if I get this disease, or, oh my gosh, look at the numbers, and the numbers keep ticking and ticking and ticking. And so we're obviously, as the mammals that we are, we're scared if we're going to survive or not, right? So that's our primitive system being activated, and it's on 24/7. And when that happens, then that compromises our immune system. So we really want to bolster this. It's great to take the vitamins and do all the proper, hand washing and all the techniques that we know to be true. that help keep us healthy, but we also really need to focus on our mind and our heart and our emotional well-being, because that is really the place where you have so much more control than we really ever thought before, right? You really only have control over your internal world. You don't have control over the outer world. And we're collectively experiencing that right now, because basically the world has come to a halt as we've known it. And now we're all kind of trying to figure out what this new normal looks like for us. So, I'm a single mom. I have my kids at home. I actually take care of my elderly mom as well. So I've got, we've all had to pivot, and, now I'm a school teacher and all the other things. And
our hands full now.
Yeah. Right. And then trying to like navigate and all the different things that go along with that. But it has been a beautiful opportunity, as you said. How can we turn this, right, the outbreak, into an opportunity? And how do we look at it from that perspective? Because if we look at our reality, which is our current reality, what we see, hear, taste, touch, smell, is what we think is what we call our reality. But our reality is being projected all the time by our thoughts, right? Our thoughts create our emotional state. So if I'm thinking and consuming all this media that like, oh my gosh, the world's coming to an end, and look at all the people dying, and look at all this is happening, then of course my internal world is going to be a mess. Like, I'm going to have anxiety, I'm going to have fear, I'm going to have grief, I'm going to have sadness, because I'm just asking myself, what if? But we never answer those questions, right? So fear is really in our minds, because it's a projected thing in the future that may or may not even happen. Right. So I invite you guys to all ask yourself that question. What if I actually did get sick? What would I do? Right? What if I got COVID, even, or any sick, right? What do? We take care of ourselves. We rest. We do all the things. We energetically, it's a time of slowing down. So we would actually, most likely, we've been ill before. And I know that these are scary statistics, because people are really tapping into that collective fear. And it is real. I get that that's happening. But looking at the probability of, if you're taking care of yourself and you're practicing all the things, social distancing and washing your hands and all the other practices, not going out there and participating. If you're a healthcare worker, my heart goes out to all the healthcare workers and everybody on the front lines, because you are the heroes of this story. And yes, that is very real, and that happens every day, that people do get sick. But what can we do about it, right? How can we create a system within ourselves that is really going to be for us and not against us? So, right, taking your supplements are always great, but what are some ways that you have been doing this, James, just to kind of let you chime in a little bit? Like, what have you been doing to take care of your immune system, just to see, like, get a temperature?
So for me, number one, I do have a nutritional system that I've used for many, many years, that, gets me a lot of the vitamins and minerals. And so it's one of those nutritional shake, scenarios. I don't want to drop names, because I don't want that to be what this is about, but it's one of those where I do 2 of them a day, and I've been doing it for 5 years. And that really helps, keep me balanced in terms of the nutrition side. So that's definitely there on that side, because we are kind of in a challenging state right now, with the grocery stores getting overwhelmed, and thankfully they're at least starting to get things back on the shelf. But my chicken is still not there. Every time I go, it's not there.
Oh,
so, yeah. But I do like this grass-fed, free range. So of course it's a special chicken. It's even hard to get normally. So now it's like, no, don't even. You wish, kind of a thing.
Right.
But taking care of that, and then also, like you talked about, with the mind, making sure to do the meditation, getting my exercise in. And really just trying to keep the normal, as much normalcy, whatever, to the situations I can, whatever the word would be there for that. Keep my routine as normal as possible. So, and like I said, and not consume, I never watch the news anyway. So, right. But just, again, keeping that stuff away and just trying to keep the positive mindset, and not becoming, turning blind eye to any of it, but not letting the hype get to me either. It's like, okay, let's look at the facts, what's happening. Okay, it is what it is. What can I do to avoid some of that? But that's really what I've been doing.
Beautiful. Yeah, those are all great things. And I think that is, and most people, I know, people that in our circles that we sort of, a lot of that doesn't happen, but I know a lot of people, like my mom has the news on 24/7, because she's, that's kind of her. And so I'll get little like snippets of it, and then I have to like remind myself. So one of the things I do recommend, and I wrote some things down that I wanted to share, was protecting your energy, right? So we're all energetic beings, whether you know that or not. We're mostly energy, and we think that we're these physical beings, and because that's what we like feel and see, and that we can like that's what we're like, I'm solid, but like we're all cells, right? We're cells and we're all interacting. So a great resource is the Heart Math Institute. If you want to look that up, it's a beautiful resource and talks about like heart and brain coherence. And we have a field around us. It's called I'm talking about, like, I probably can't say it right either, toroidal field around us. And it's about 5 feet around us. And that's our energy field. So when we talk about energetics, right, like, you know, if you go into a room and you could feel it, if like the energy is really high, they know all the buzzwords now, high vibe, and you're attracted to certain people because they're in your same energetics, right? So, and vice versa, if you're around and you're consuming a lot of news, or you're talking with your friends and you're like, oh my God, and like COVID and blah, 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 and the conversation is all about that. Your energetics are then therefore going to be matched, because we entrain with each other. It's called entrainment, and we match each other's energetics. So I want you to really consider that and talk about, if you don't believe that like we are energy, that's how an MMR works, and an EKG, because it's like, that's how we can measure things, right? So I'm not just making this up. But that's the beauty of it. And you can test it, right? Like you can feel your own energy. You can just rub your thumb right here in the middle of your hand like this, and you can feel the heat, right? And you can do it on the other side, and then you clap and then you can kind of feel your own energetic and play with it. So when we sit inside, like, if you're a meditator, or even if you're not, I suggest this is a great opportunity to practice meditation. And meditation can be just sitting still for even just a few moments, right? Feeling your body and feeling where the emotions are coming up. Like, are they stuck here in my chest, or do they drop down in my stomach when I get that little pit in my stomach? So, because energy carries frequency as well. So they're energetic ranges of emotion. I wanted to share this because it's so cool. You can't see it, but I'll post it in the links in the comments. And this is also the Dr. Hawkins created this like frequencies of emotions. So down here at the bottom range of your emotions are depression, guilt, insecurity, shame, unworthiness, all those yucky feelings that none of us want to feel, right? Like, and a lot of powerlessness, which is what we're feeling right now, and despair and apathy. And so these are what they call lower vibration emotions. And then you kind of get up into fear and grief, which is also something that we're experiencing collectively, right? This collective like grief of like, oh my gosh, and fear. So we really want to look up, and you want to be more up in this like higher range of emotions in the green, and then upwards, because like that's where courage starts, and just sort of neutrality. So ways that you can do that are really just recognizing that your emotions are in energy in motion, right? They need to move. So they're telling you something. So I actually talk to my feelings because I'm weird like that because they're giving me information, right? It's good. As I talk to myself, I talk to myself too, because they actually carry information. But when you stop to say, like, instead of like, I'm so anxious and I want to get rid of that emotion, right? I just want to like, I don't want to feel that way, right? Because it feels, I can't breathe. Instead of it, we always want to push it away. And basically, like, if we're containers, we can only house so much energy, right? So we're stuffing and over years and years of us stuffing our feelings, right? That common thing that we do so often. We don't want to feel our old traumas. We don't want to like, you know, activate any of this stuff. But what's happening now is it's a collective activation that we're all experiencing. And that's why it's so like, it feels very overwhelming. So just kind of just piece it a little bit, but talking to your feelings like, okay, anxiety, like, what are you here to teach me? What do I need to know from you? Right? So you might just sit quietly and in your meditation, like, acknowledge, like, yeah, I'm anxious. And right now, let's face it, we have a lot of reasons to be anxious. And so, okay, just kind of like slowing the breathing and getting like, you know, taking long inhales, 5 inhales, and then matching that with 5 exhales, and just starting to sit with it and see if like you can tap into your intuition, and it's all there. It's all accessible, but we're usually so in the busyness of life, you know, the busyness that we're like, I gotta go here and I gotta get my kids to school and I gotta go there. And then at the end of the day, you're like, I'm too tired to do anything. I just want to like Netflix and chill and like drink my glass of wine and like eat my whatever and go to bed.
Go do some binge eating just to deal with those emotions, that if we would just stop and take a minute to really just, you know, like say, become aware of them and acknowledge you're here. I see you. It's okay. Let's deal with this, versus just cramming it down. Yeah.
Yeah. And I like to use that analogy that it's like emotions are like little children. They want to be seen and they want to be heard and they want to be loved, right? They just want to be expressed, right? Because you want to move them through. You don't want to hold on to them. You want to actually like, okay, and release that. And they're, you know, it's a continuum, it's a practice that's like anything else in life.
Yeah.
Is like a tool that you can use as like a guidance system that is like, if you use it as information and that's all it really is information, what do I need to know from this information, right? Because in our primitive lives, you know, millions of years ago or however, that we needed that information. Should I run from the saber-toothed tiger or should I say a fight, right? Like that's our primitive system. Like we needed that information. And then all of a sudden what ends up happening is, right, like the blood rushes to your extremities because you need to run, you need to fly, you know, you need to flee. But then that's actually taking away from really what we need it to be doing, which is bolstering our immune system and our internal like organs, like really like helping what needs to be healed. So you want to use it as information and as a guidance. And if you could look at it that way, then maybe it won't be as scary, right? And maybe you start to just go, oh, isn't I like, my favorite thing is like, I just say, oh, isn't that interesting? I kind of pause and that gives me a little moment to respond instead of react. So you know, I'm human, I get reactive. Like I said, I'm just like I'll give an example. I was rushing out the door and like I said, I take care of my mom and we had a caregiver, but she was like, you know, she asked me something about like dinner and I said, you know, blah, 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 this for dinner. She's like, no, I'm talking about Easter. And I'm like, Easter? I don't have time to talk about it. Like, I gotta go, right?
Weeks from now,
yeah, like I gotta think about it. But if I would have like used that, like that's the perfect example of me reacting as opposed to responding. So when I'm really in my space and I'm feeling grounded, it's like I can take that pause and I can say, I can see that you're like worried about that. I know that that's a special holiday for you and that I could have responded in a different way. So it's like we're always we have two ways of responding. One is out of fear and one is out of love. So we all need to practice, right, responding out of love. And it is a practice and I don't always get it right either. So just calling myself out. that
you get me driving and I'm very reactive.
Yeah,
you know, I'm the calmest guy ever, but my daughter, she even gives me crap. It's like, you're always so calm, but then when we get out driving, I'm like, what you doing? Oh wait, never mind. You know, so I catch myself. But yeah, I mean, it is a practice.
Yeah, we're the student and the teacher as well, right? Yes. I always, you teach what you need to know, right? You teach what you need to learn in your own experience. So that's always a practice for me. So does that make sense? Like going through that and just being able to like acknowledge, and again, I'll post that and you can kind of circle it where you feel you are and on the spectrum. And obviously that's going to go in a variety of, you know, different places in a different ways, but ways that you can protect your energy. We talked about that, turning off the news. So like, even if you just commit to 1 week and take it 1 week, write yourself a little note that says, I am protecting my energy. So put a little Post-it note on your bathroom mirror or wherever in the refrigerator or where else. And if you feel weird about it, you can actually do it on your phone, right? You could use that as your wallpaper, because how many times do we check our phones? You can take your wallpaper and just type it out like, I'm protecting my energy. And then maybe that'll give you the clue, like, oh, I don't need to look at my social media now and engage in like, you know, a debate on anything.
Well, if we should be watching the Tiger King or not.
Oh my gosh, I know, I've heard about that. I was like, I don't know if I could take that.
No Tiger King. That just,
no. I watched you need to get on Gaia. Have you ever watched Gaia?
I've never watched it. I'm aware of it, but I've never actually got on there.
This is a good time. So yeah, protecting your energy, saying not talking about it, not incessantly getting into the conversation about it, right? So like wherever think about it, you're projecting that out into the future. And if you want to continue this, right, we're all collectively experiencing. So the longer it's in our awareness, the longer that this is going to continue in the future. And so if you think that you don't have any control over that, you absolutely do. You have control over your own internal world. So another great little tool that I love, it's an app called the Mindfulness Bell. And you put it on your phone, and then it's just basically you can set the you can set the ringer, and it goes off maybe like every 15 minutes, every 30 minutes, every hour, and you can just ask yourself, where am I at right now? Where am I at in my emotions? Where am I in my emotions like deep, and I need to go take a time out, and I need to like go do a walk, or I need to just take some deep breaths, or maybe pop on a meditation. So it's a great little app that's on, I'm sure, on all the, Android
iTunes
as well
and
as
Google
iTunes
Play
and
and
all
all that.
that.
Yeah.
So
So,
it
so
looks
pretty
like a
much it's
little
just
goal.
something, so it just sets off a little tone and kind of breaks your train of thought from,
Yeah, so basically it's just an
autopilot.
idea. It's a bell. It's like going to go off and you set it at however long you want to set it. Maybe
Mhm.
maybe more frequently now, like every 15 minutes, like checking in with yourself, because again, you're going to get more used to that. Like, where am I at right now? Where's my energy level? Where's my frequency at? What am I projecting out there? Am I projecting that fear, or do I need to kind of rein it in and like shift my state, like shift my energy, right?
Yeah.
Because so the goal number one is you want to protect your energy. So I love that one. And then and there's lots of different apps, but I love the Insight Timer, which
Hmm.
is like insightful, like Insight Timer, which is great. It has like, and
I've
it's
got it on
free.
my
So
phone. Yep.
right.
Yep.
What I do is I set it the night before. So
Hmm.
as I'm just waking up, is I just grab my phone and I pop it on and I literally just lay in bed, because it's like you're in this, when you're waking, your brain is what they're coming out of delta, which is sleep waves, and your subconscious mind is entering into the theta phase, which is just sort of like you're kind of like you're not fully conscious yet. So it's actually a great time. The two best times are right before you go to bed and right when you wake up, because your subconscious mind is more apt and it has the ability to take in this information and really like start to program, because we're all running a program. If nobody knows, you're all programmed, right? Like we are all conditioned.
Yeah.
This is happening. We've been programmed for a long time, since, right? Because our families of origin, school, religion, churches, all the different things, we're running a program. So what is that program you're running? You want to change your thought patterns, and the only way you can do that is through your subconscious.
Yeah.
Because 95% of the things that we are thinking are really out of our awareness. So we want to bring those back into our conscious awareness, which is like us having this conversation about that, right? Because most of us is just running in the background, and that's sort of what we have experienced, is we all are on autopilot,
Hmm.
right? We get in our cars, we do the same routine, we get up, we make our coffee, we get our kids off to school, we go to work, we do the same thing, right? Because you don't even have, when they say like you're in your car and you've lost time,
Yeah.
because you're not really running the show. Your subconscious mind is running the show. You don't even need to be present for that.
Yeah.
Right.
You just get to work and you're like, wait a minute, how did I get here?
You're like, how
I
did
missed
I
that
get
last
here?
15-minute drive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're just on that subconscious programming where it's just literally autopilot. You're doing the same things. And maybe, when you get to work, you're working on a different file or you're seeing different people, but it's the same basic things over and over and over again. So you're really not consciously doing anything. It's
right.
Repeating the same old scenarios, maybe with just a few different faces or different names, but it's the same thing over and over.
Right, definitely. It is like Groundhog's Day, but we're really not aware of it because, again, we're not tapped in. So really, this is an opportunity, and I think that is why it's so scary for so many people. And if I imagine people who are attracted to this group are already on the personal development track and have done some work on themselves and are probably at a level of awareness, right? Mm-hmm. So we're already there, because there's other people in society. The ones that are like really freaking out are the ones that have not like done any work, and those are the people that really need us the most. So if you're in a state of awareness, then you're at a prime opportunity to really take this, right? This time that we've been given, this slowdown, this purposeful like halt to the world, is to really grow. And so you can ask yourself the question, like, who do I want to be on the other side of this, right? Like, you can't bring the same version of you to the party as it comes back to life, right? Like, you want to be a different version of you. So what can I consume that's positive? Like, what podcasts can I consume? Like, what information, which is what you're putting out, which is so great, is there's lots of different content. And so be careful what you're consuming, right? Because again, that's affecting your energy level.
Yeah, big time. And then again, that's really a big reason why I wanted to put this group together and bring people like yourself on here, is to give people something positive to focus on and not be sitting here watching stuff like the Tiger King, which I'm sure it's a wonderful show. I'm going to trust everybody, but I'm not going to do it. It's one of those things where, you listen to people and they're making comments about it. And this is what drives me crazy. Every single comment you see about it, oh my God, that was the craziest thing ever. Who are these people? This is the most effed up thing in the world. Yet, then the next person goes and watches it. And then the next person goes like, if it's
because we want to see.
People are telling you it's a train wreck, why are you going to go spend hours of your life paying attention to this thing? I don't get it.
Well, because again, we're socially conditioned. I don't want to miss out. I've got FOMO. Like, I want to know. I want to be in the know. And really, what we're doing when we're like consuming that, which is like any reality TV or any show that sort of has that factor, like, I can't believe that I'm actually seeing this. Right. So we're sitting in there and then we're in judgment of these other people. Oh my God, they're so crazy. Look at what they do, blah, blah, blah. And a judgment, again, is a lower vibration frequency, right? So if
Yeah.
you're in judgment of others, how they're living your life, you really should stay in your own lane and just be like, why am I consuming something about somebody else? Because I'm disconnecting from myself.
Mhm.
I'm avoiding myself. I'm avoiding my feelings. I'm avoiding and again, believe me, I've watched shows. And again, like you
Well, I
said, it's
have
like
to.
junk food, junk food. It's like a little bit here and there is okay. It's not going to, indulge when you need to, but don't
Yeah.
spend all your time, because then when you do come out of this, do you wonder why you don't feel good in the morning, that you don't have the energy that you'd love to have, you don't feel healthy the way that, so there's fear, because it's like, if I get sick, like for me, like I'm like, I bolter, my immune system. I'm not going to walk through and like not wash my hands, but I know I have confidence in like
Yeah.
that my immune system is operating at a high level, because again, I've done the work. And we could all get sick, right? It doesn't even, there's many other things that are happening in the world besides what we're just focusing on, right? So whatever, again, remembering that wherever wherever focus goes, energy flows. So whatever I'm focusing on, I'm gonna make more true for myself. That is my reality, right? So I'm focused on that, so that gets magnified. So what do you want to focus on? Ask yourself, do I want to focus on the Tiger King, or do I want to focus on myself, right? Flip the script and like look at yourself. This is a beautiful, beautiful opportunity to sit with those things. And if it's uncomfortable, hire a coach, hire a therapist, connect with somebody who has some experience. We are not meant to do this alone. We are not meant to do, go down this path, because it can be very overwhelming. So there are a lot of people out there who are offering help because we want to serve, right? Like myself included, like I want to serve, like this is my time. I feel like I've been in preparation for this moment, right? And it's not, it's not me trying to do a sales thing. It's just me saying there are millions of people out there who want to help, right? Like I love that visual. I always like, everybody's just going to give everybody else a hand, right? Like we're in this together. We're the collective. We're going to rise together, and there are people who want to help. So don't feel like you have to do it alone.
Yeah. I love that. Bringing, like I say, and that's one thing I have loved, that I've seen, is people coming together. Even though we're physically
Right.
apart, I've seen so many people pull together through this time. And it almost goes back to 9/11, things like that. When we have these big situations where it affects the entire country, you see the true heart of people. And some people are freaking out, but they're, especially like say in our community, we see so many people just give and want to help. And it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful because the frequency of love, right? That's what we are. We're here to love and be loved, and allow that in. So allow somebody else to help you with that, or try to help yourself as much as you possibly can. There are tons, or something like that's the great thing, is like this is a free resource. There's other free resources out there, and there really is so many beautiful opportunities to take this growth. It's like, I know that we always use the butterfly of the cocoon, but it's been my son, so my 14-year-old, who he's on the spectrum, and he loves, we happen to find some butterflies, and we have this butterfly garden, and if you've ever really watched it, so if you haven't, you could do it, because I saw one like literally like before my eyes, and it's kind of like the thing, you can't even visually like comprehend that this like caterpillar is like literally just shaking this thing, and it's turning into like something else right before your eyes, and then the head falls off, and then all sorts of things, it turns to mush, and then it emerges a beautiful butterfly. And right, growth is painful, unfortunately. I don't know why, but that's just the way we're wired. We don't pay attention unless like we've sort of been knocked up on the side of the head. And this is the universe sort of knocking us all up on the side of the head, saying like, it's time to pay attention. It's time to pay attention to your internal world. You are a spiritual being having a physical experience. And the beautiful part is you have more control than you think you do. It's just from the inside out, not from the outside in.
Yeah. No, I love that. Yeah. Cause it's all in here. It really is. It really is.
So one of the things, speaking of that, it is all in here, but what ends up happening is the monkey mind takes over, right? So we have these things on repeat, like we talked about, like the subconscious mind basically is the habit mind. We'll call it the habit mind. The conscious mind is the creative mind, which is like you got right to work. You're like, I'm going to create this group, right? The conscious mind is like, I'm in service. The habitual mind, the subconscious mind, is just playing a program. So what can you do to reprogram that? First, you have to figure out what program you're running, right? So instead of just letting those emotions go on loop, throughout the day. I invite you to take a piece of paper, get a journal. It doesn't have to be like a big thing. Just brain dump your emotions. Like write down everything that's like scaring you, bothering you, irritated, whatever, frustration. My kids are home, they're eating all the food, I got to clean up after them, like all the things, right?
Yeah.
Everything. And then just, you know, spend like 10 minutes, 15, don't go overboard. And then as you finish doing a nice deep breathing, because you want to like release those emotions, you want to breathe them through. So if you're doing 5 breaths in and out for 5 seconds each, and then exhaling. And then what I like to do is I take like a little metal bowl, and then I light it on fire, and I'm just burning that, and I'm releasing it. Like, this no longer serves me. This is something that I no longer is needing to be in my energetic field. And you might have to do that daily for or however long that it serves you. But if you find that that helps you to be able, again, we want to move the emotions through. Don't let them stuck up here in your monkey mind, because this is controlling you. It has a hold on you, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I love to do.
Well, and I
wanted
know,
to share.
Yeah, myself, and somebody brought this up just a few days ago, and it's killing me that I don't remember exactly who said it up, but they were talking about doing the brain dump.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, wait. Oh, Jillian Murphy. Yeah. She's not in, she wasn't in our round of Past Foundations, but she's in the current round with me.
This one.
And she talked about doing the brain dump. And I had never done the brain dump, but Kyle Depies, who was in our group, he and I had just talked a few days prior to that about where he has this thing that he'd heard of called the morning pages. And so it's like MOURNING, and basically same basic concept, but you just sit down in the morning and you just write out everything that's in your mind. You just get it out. And I've started doing that on both of them. Even if it's like middle of the day and I just feel like I've got too much anxiety, something going on, I just sit down with a piece of paper and just write it, because I know our brains, they can't handle an open loop. So when you got these thoughts that are just out there that you just keep getting stuck, if you get it out on that piece of paper, like you said, it physically gets it out of your body, and then you take that paper, you throw it away, you burn it, you do whatever, just get rid of it. But then it can move on. And it has been very, very freeing and very cathartic just to get those out of my brain. And some of them still come back, they find their way off that paper back into my head. But at least for that time being, I've cleared it out, and I can only take that next step with it. So those have been, that's actually a really great tip.
Yeah, that's great. That's so, and when you put it in practice, right? A lot of people, and I was resistant about like journaling forever. I tell my clients to do it, and I was like, all right, I better do this, right? And I gotta walk my walk. And it really, there is something about putting pen to paper that is so just, beautiful and like open, and you can there's automatic writing. There's so many different ways that you can think about it, and because it releases that block. Because at first you're sitting there with this blank piece of paper and it feels overwhelming. Like you're like, I don't know what to write. You could write that. I don't know what to write. This is stupid. I don't want to do this. I have resistance. And all of a sudden like that, it's like running. I know you're a runner. So it's like, I'm like a resistant runner, but like once you get that, my legs,
that first few steps, you get that first block or two down.
Painful, but then you're like, all of a sudden you get in the flow, and that's what it is. It's flow, right? Like we all want to be in that flow state, and you're like, this was good. Like now I've got the endorphins because it releases those hormones. So it's like moving past, and that's so like a great example, because we do it. We hit that resistance and then we stop. Yeah. Right. Like this isn't working. Like it's like a diet. Oh, I tried that I ate great for 2 days. Why am I not like, why do I not look fabulous? Like, or whatever. And then we're so, because that's our ego. Our ego is protecting us, right? It's this protective, mechanism that we have in our brain. That's like, no, that's not for you. That's phony. That's woo woo. That's blah, blah, blah. It doesn't work, because your brain's like, your ego's like, no, let's stay here. Like we're comfortable here. We know this. We're familiar. As much as I always like, as much as it's uncomfortable, you're like, I don't know what's on the other side, right? I don't know what's on the other side of that. And that's what's scary. That's what we're feeling right now. I don't know what's on the other side of this. So like, imagine what's on the other side of this. What is this like beautiful, like life that you could be living? You could like, get out of a job that you can't stand. You've always had something on your heart that you wanted to share. Maybe you're going to work on your relationship now because you have the time to actually drop in and have like the conversations that you've avoided. Maybe you're going to be like, the parent of the, really focusing on your kids and being that parent you always wanted to show up as, and maybe because you didn't get that as a child. And so you're like, who do you want to be? So visualize that, right? Like, because your brain, I will tell you, does not know the difference between past, present, and future. It doesn't know. We're habituated to the past. So we're repeating the past. And so we wonder why our days look the same and our life looks the same as we, the trajectory of time goes. Because like I said, you don't want to bring the same version of yourself into the future. It's like, I have to create a new version of me. Like, who is Hillary 2.0 going to be on the other side of this? And I have to visualize myself and like, what is that going to feel like? And really like, getting in there and just being like, I see myself, and, I'll be talking on stages, and I will be helping massive amounts of people, and I will be serving in a way that like my heart has always wanted to, and I'm going to step up and I'm going to do these things, because I have to create that in my mind before that then my reality will match that, my vibration. Because a lot of us try to do the, positive affirmations. They're great.
Yeah.
Love them. But what ends up happening and why they don't work is because our feelings don't match them. Right. Yeah. So energetically, you've got to like click the two in. I gotta, like I said, I gotta walk the walk. I gotta not just think positive thoughts. I've got to feel positive. Yeah. Like I wake up every day and I'm like, in awe of like another opportunity to be who I came here to be. And if you change that story and you change that script, then you will start to see all these little tools and tricks that everybody's sharing with you in this group, how they all kind of, fit together like pieces of a puzzle. It's not just one thing. And maybe some of this works for you, and you take little bits like what feels good and what because that's called resonance, right? Like that resonates with me. That's going to feel like you're going to go, oh yeah, I like that. Yeah. What she said really felt good. Or you're going to be like, no, that's not for me, but check, like, try it.
Yeah. Yeah. Just once you have that awareness, that's huge, is because there's so many things we don't even know to try it. But like you said, with the affirmations, that was one that I struggled with for a long time, because I was a very positive minded guy, and I would be like, affirmations, these are great. But then I'd read like, I am wealthy, and I'm broke as a joke, and like, why is this not working? I am wealthy. Well, it's because I wasn't feeling it, and that was a huge turning point for me, was especially with Dr. Joe Dispenza, his work. I love him, and just amazing. And I'd heard it many other times, but I loved how he combined the science with it. And so that's what really made it stick for me. But yeah, just getting into that state and truly feeling it. And like right now, I'm not in a panic mode. I'm fucking thinking this is the best thing ever. I don't want to say the best in my life, but I mean, it's one of those where I'm looking at this again as a massive opportunity for so many of us, just to shift, to pivot, or if nothing else, to take the time to look at your life and make sure you're going exactly where you want to go. And if you are, dude, awesome. Keep going down that path, but make sure it's a conscious choice. Make sure that you're aware that this is the path you want to be taking, not the one we've fallen into by default, or just because, this happened in my life, so I ended up over here, and I've never stopped to like, wait a minute, I got on the wrong highway 6 years ago. I need to turn around, I got to go back.
Right. Yeah. Yes, that's so true. And I think that's such a great point, because a lot of us do that, right? We've signed up for things and we're like, oh, I have to, and I tell my clients, well, because I'm already doing this, right? It's like, did anybody ever say you couldn't take a left turn or right turn or U-turn? You could go on a different road. Like, you don't have to stay where you're not happy. And we all deserve the, peace and joy and love and happiness. And we're not here to live our lives based on other people's expectations of us, which so many of us do, because, because I did this, or I should do this, or, oh gosh, my parents would be so upset if I did that, or, oh, my husband or wife wouldn't, like it if I did that, or, there's 100 different things, that we could all say, but it's like looking at where you are and saying like, is this really making me happy? Is this serving my soul? Like, we're here on purpose for a purpose, right? And what is your purpose? And so many people are, I don't know what my purpose is. Whatever brings you joy is your purpose. Yeah. If your purpose is to like, be the sweetest, nicest person to your friends and neighbors and show them love, then that's your purpose, right? Yeah. Shine your light and don't let anybody else like tell you anything different. Give yourself the permission to like live this like beautiful, joyful existence, because there is so much abundance. We're all abundant. Like we are wealthy because we have like these resources, right? Like how wealthy are we? We're so abundant, and this time that we get to live in, and how beautiful that we can still connect in this way, even though we're told that we have to socially isolate. We find a way. I mean, I had virtual birthday parties for people that were so fun, because people got to come together that would normally not be able to come to the party because we're from all over. So
yeah, that's so awesome.
That's cool.
So awesome.
Yeah. So the last thing I would just say, another little technique and little tidbit I can share. I know I could talk about this for like days or whatever, but one of my favorite practices that I've been doing, especially in this time, is a practice called earthing or grounding. If you're not familiar with it, or if you are, get outside, stick your feet in the ground. I lay on the grass. I have like a little divot. My neighbors sometimes walk by, they notice me, they don't notice me. They're like, why is Hillary laying in the grass? And I'm just like, and I feel so connected. And right now the earth is healing, and it's healing itself, and it's healing us at the same time. So if we really recognize like how we're all interconnected, like how quickly this virus has spread, is like, we could do the other with all the love and the joy and the connection. We could do the same thing. So recognizing like you're a part of the earth, and this is all, you do have a way, you have a part in this. You can play your part, and that's when you feel so deeply connected to the earth and its resources and what it gives to us, then we can really like appreciate and say, again, who do I want to be on the other side of this?
Yeah. No, I'm aware of grounding, and this wasn't grounding per se, because I mean that's when you're actually standing on the ground connected to the earth. But just even a couple nights ago, something along that line, getting reconnected to nature and the earth. I went out on my deck, and we were in one of those weather patterns where the storm was kind of there, kind of was. It looked like it could rain at any minute, but you don't have the wind's blowing, and I sat out literally for like 45 minutes on my deck and just connected, and like it took me to a whole entirely different place, because I got out of, even just outside of my house, just to be out there, part of that nature, and listen to the wind, and just feeling that energy. We just talk about the energy all the time, just that energy in the air, and it was so. I almost didn't want to come in. I literally debated, like, can I just sleep out here tonight? But I didn't. I ended up coming back in. But it was one of those where you got to reconnect to nature sometimes. It's and I have loved seeing people at least getting out doing walks, but just getting outside of our normal, like say, 4 big walls and all the electronics and all that, and just reconnecting.
Yeah, no, it's so beautiful. I mean, if you can get, I know, I don't think I've seen so many people in my neighborhood, more families walking, riding bikes, getting out. And I know my kids and I have been doing the same, and, practice social distancing. It's funny because you're like, oh, another human, go the other way. Like, we're all like, and I'm wondering how like the little kids that are in this, like how they're going to grow up with like, what's their construct going to be of like, I got to avoid other people. But like, it's just, it's interesting. But yes, being anything out in nature, because again, the sky, the earth, the birds, the wind, it's all part of it, right? And we're all part of it, and it's so beautiful. So
it's real funny, and then we'll wrap this up. But my house, I can as right now, I can look out my front window, and there's a road that comes up, I kind of tees right in front of my house. And literally like 3 days ago, there was somebody walking down the sidewalk and somebody coming the other way, and I saw him do like this do the like circle, because they didn't want to be like, they had to keep that 6-foot barrier, but then like they kept going, they said hi to each other. I think they did that whole loop thing. It was so funny.
It is interesting.
All right,
it is interesting.
But like I said, Hillary, we could talk about this for hours.
I know, we could jam out for hours and hours.
Yeah, be respectful of your time. And so real quick, so I want anybody that's watching this, number one, first and foremost, drop us some comments in here. Let us know what your biggest takeaways were, what you're going to, take from this conversation, maybe implement into your life. We would love to see your feedback, and let Hillary know, that what she shared with you today, is resonating with you. See, there's the energy, that resonation again. And then before we leave, Hillary, if people want to connect with you further, what's the best place for them to find you and connect with you?
Thank you. I'm on Instagram as Hillary Foster _MFT. So Hillary's 2 L's ARY. HillaryFoster.com is my website. And I mean, you can friend me on Facebook, send me a DM, we're up.
Awesome.
Yeah, perfect.
Just reach out, connect.
Just reach out, send me a DM, drop a DM. What are they? Yeah, I love it. Thanks for doing this. It's a great.
Thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate your time. And
absolutely.
You have a great day, and I will hopefully see you sometime soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, take care.
Take care. Bye.